Thanks for checking out a new episode of Bad Advice with Chris Cubis, the show where unqualified people give unsolicited advice. This week, I'm joined by comedians and podcasters Marty, DeRosa, and Sarah Joy Shockey. This is a super fun, introspective episode. We talk relationships and teen friend drama, old people crying. Just check it out. Thanks for checking out a new episode of Bad Advice with Chris Cubis, the show where unqualified people give unsolicited advice. We missed a week last week, but I went away. Me and the lady took a little staycation, got ourselves a little Airbnb with a pool. I needed some downtime, so I appreciate you guys being patient. But we are back with two wonderful returning guests, hosts of the Marty and Sarah Love Wrestling podcast, comedians, all-around joys, Marty DeRosa and Sarah Joy Shockey. How's it going, folks?
Great.
Very good. Good to be here, Chris. Thanks for having us back on the podcast.
I was thinking we should rename it to Marty and Sarah Love Wrestling Comedy Podcast Hour. Comedy radio show hour.
So it is it is a show that I think non-wrestling fans could actually enjoy if you
get that.
If you listen to enough
sometimes.
episodes. Yeah. You'll just understand the characters outside of a wrestling context, and then you're just having a fun comedy time.
Yeah, we get a lot of my partner doesn't like wrestling, but they listen to you guys. So
or my child listens, and we think it's okay for them to hear R-rated content if it's coming from you, which is what a compliment.
That's a beautiful compliment because they know your R-ratedness is coming from a place of love and joy, and not hate and meanness.
What a fucking compliment.
I think that's true because I think you can 100%. I think you can curse all you want. I've been getting into this with my fiance recently. By the way, I just dropped that casually, but we've had an announcement. I mean, announcement you have made obviously to other people. You have been engaged since last we spoke.
Yeah. I guess now that we're all fiancés, we can kind of understand each other a little bit better.
I didn't know some of your points of view last time or your advice, and I'm like, I don't get this guy. But now that I am engaged, I get it. I get where you're coming from on a lot of things. I was thinking about just myself as this boyfriend, but now that I'm a fiance,
it brings a level of responsibility. Absolutely.
The world view has just changed a bit. It feels like from going to junior high to high school.
College.
We've really graduated here.
I'm gonna blow your mind at wife college.
Oh, wife college. Yeah.
And is this wife college? Are you? Is that like a liberal arts? More of a science?
Yeah,
where we at?
Pretty liberal.
So you like you said you have been engaged. Is it? And obviously we're joking, but it's a fun thing to be like, oh no, this is a level has reached. You know what I mean?
I haven't asked enough comics this, but when you got engaged, did you feel like a dickhead saying fiance all the time in your act?
Well, it took me. I had to change. It took a while to kind of make sure that sank in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also, I was proposed to.
Congrats.
I know, right? It's kind of so. Speaking to, it's kind of rad being proposed to, is it not?
Yeah, to be you want to spend your whole life with me?
Mm-hmm.
Sure. That's what I was hoping for. I was, day-to-day planning for that.
Yeah, that's a fun flex you could throw on any guy. It's and how did your wife propose to you? She didn't. Just me. I'm sorry. I
just kind of assumed we all had that. Attraction.
I would have asked you if you were 59 and a half.
Yes, we had a rule where Sarah didn't want me to hit my 60s and be her boyfriend.
I was by then I don't want to be my 65-year-old boyfriend keeps
you can't
tripping over rocks and I have to wheel him around now.
You can only do that if you're 90 again and everybody's
that's cute
dead.
Again.
Everybody's dead and stuff.
No, at 60 you can't have your boyfriend getting the senior discount when you go out or whatever. It's just embarrassing.
My boyfriend's got my wallet. Give me a second. I'm 50. I'm a luscious 50-year-old woman. People think I'm from France. I'm so beautiful.
He got so drunk the other night. My 60-year-old boyfriend. You can't. That's a.
But my 60-year-old fiance keeps getting wine drunk. It's ooh, he's
you guys have a fun relationship. Are you on a boat? That seems like a very
always. Yeah, I'm gonna buy the commissioner.
Yes, we're always near boats.
We love it.
We look at the boats. We study them.
Study them. We wonder how rich you would have to be to own a boat, let alone how much to pay to keep a boat in the harbor by our apartment.
We're taking sailing classes. We're offering our help as crew.
My fiance and I got a little Airbnb last week with a pool just in town, nothing crazy, but just a little getaway. And it felt like the fanciest shit in the world to just be like, oh no, I'm gonna wake up and have a cup of coffee by the pool. And then I realized also that the pool was just like a golf course. It was just like it was fancy for me, but not for them. So like it certainly wasn't for them having to watch. Like they're up at 8 a.m. for their golf and they're just watching my fat shirtless ass sipping coffee and doing cannonballs.
That sounds beautiful. I've been walking the lake every day, and I figured out recently that you could just kind of sit on the rocks if you don't want to fully swim, because we're not by a beachy area. We're by like the ladders. But if you perch up on a rock, you could just let the water kind of wash over and look at the boats. And then, you know, if you're far enough in, people don't talk to you, which is amazing.
That's what.
What's the when you're on a staycation? What's the like TV rule? Probably like you can't really watch a lot of stuff on
30
TV.
minutes.
Oh no! So here's what we did. We had like 2 days, and then we left. Like we did like a Sunday, Monday, and we left on Tuesday. Sunday pooled out hard. Just having some drinks, having a time. We brought the dogs, so the dogs running around the backyard. Beautiful time. Monday, woke up, saw Fast and the Furious 9, came home, watched Fast and the Furious 5. We're old. We were like, we did it hard.
Were there plot points that you missed in 5 that you had to go back and watch?
She hadn't seen most of these, but she has like gotten in. I am a big enough fan that I get her, like she'll kind of draft on my joy.
Tokyo Drift on your joy.
Exactly. Even Tokyo Drift her way into fanhood. And it is like ridiculous and fun enough that if you just kind of accept that, you're gonna have a good time watching that movie. That 2 of the characters go to space in a Pontiac Fiero. Like it's
I've had an old coworker of mine who's still a dear friend would just explain me little plot points throughout the day of Fast and the Furious, and I heard that space one and was like, wow.
The real question is, how did John Cena do?
John Cena does exactly as well as you need him to do. He is Vin Diesel's brother, which makes all the sense in the world.
No, like half brother,
family,
full brother, and also at one point rides a zip line from like one side of London to the other side of London.
I've always wanted to do that, but it's so expensive.
Yeah, that's one of those ones you got to get a group on for that zip line.
Oh my god, you got to wait. They do it like the semi-annual.
I remember when Richard Branson opened that for the first time, and everybody was like, "Well, you can do that now."
When I was a kid, I used to pit my GI Joes or like whatever, like my He-Man toys, and I would set up strings and make them zip line. And he looks exactly like that, just one hand cocked around this thing, just fly for minutes. And when I tell you minutes, I mean 5 to 6 minutes of this movie is just John Cena doing this.
He doesn't do an arm switch halfway at the midpoint.
Does he scowl the whole time? Does he have that face the whole time?
He does a lot of scowling, and then by the end, he's a good guy, so you get to root for him.
I knew that.
Yeah.
That was apparently a big FU to The Rock. They replaced him with Cena, thinking he would seamlessly fit in, but I don't know. I saw a lot of people who were like, I think this franchise has maybe lost its mind.
What if they were like, you know what, we're gonna drop in Omos, and that's our big flex. Literally big.
Let's go ahead and jump into some of our letters here. I've got some good ones, I think. Some ones that, like, typically we will kind of get a little roasty on these shows, but some of these I think are maybe set up for some actual good conversation. So we'll see how we go. Let's try.
Last time we did the show, people had some serious opinions for me afterwards about some of the stuff that we like. I don't agree with what you said about. I can't remember like some of the relationships or something. They're like, I don't know, man. And they'll explain, like Sarah and I were listening to a really cool song the other day. And I was like, you got to hear this song. We just put it on YouTube with the lyrics. And then Sarah's like, I think that's a woman singing about being in a relationship with a woman. And I was like, whoa, that blew my mind. And that was the same thing like when we did it, where everybody goes around and you kind of have your mind made up and someone's like, well, I think this. And I'm like, I never thought about that. I got hit with a couple of those.
Nobody came to me.
Well, your advice was perfect.
That seems like
you and Chris perfect. You and Chris were perfect. Me, I had some. People didn't like my Indiana therapy.
Let's go ahead and start with this one. Dear Abby, my adult daughter is married. She also has a boyfriend. Both of these men live with her and share her bed. Her children are horrified by it and want nothing to do with their mother. They are embarrassed and ashamed, as am I. Her older children are of age, but still in school. They would like to move out, but can't afford to. The youngest is a minor and afraid of the boyfriend. My daughter's husband doesn't object to the share plan. Is there anything I can do to help the kids? Signed, Crowded Bed in Colorado. Now, here's where this to me is a very sort of like, oh, this is just an old person not comfortable with her daughter's poly lifestyle. You're adults, you can do whatever you want, except for that afraid of the boyfriend.
The awareness of the children's emotion, I think, is what's really going to pull us through here. I see this as a good learning situation for everybody involved, because I feel like there's maybe some communication not happening between the mom, the boyfriend, the husband, and the kids, because if the kids are like, all kids go through that teen phase where they think their parents are idiots, and sometimes it just lasts and lasts and lasts. But I also feel like there's this immediate shutdown of the idea of like the older person being like, no, and they agree and we agree. So the one that's wrong is you, and we can't fix it till you change what you're doing. But it's like, that's not going to change the history that she was like real judgmental this whole time.
Absolutely. So, and I don't super believe. So again, like when we read these letters, these people are going to put themselves in the best possible light, right? No one's going to write in and say like, oh, everyone disagrees with me, but I'm sure I'm right.
But so she's still not coming across great. Like there's some word choices that I'm like, you're not nice to servers, I think. I'm afraid.
No, absolutely. I get a real fucking send this back vibe from this woman for sure. My issue here, like where she says her older children are of age but still in school and they want to move out but can't afford, like that's, you're putting a lot of your ideas on what these kids
and like they want to move out but can't afford it. It's like, yeah, where are they going to work? Pizza Hut? Like this isn't the time to be like, they want to move out to make the same point that I wanted to make. It's like, well, then open up your home, give them a spot to crash a couple nights a week if they're feeling weird. Your family, listen to them. This is a chance to like understand how kids feel, understand, like you can learn from people of any age and family situation. It's like, what a great chance for them to bond, even if it's a little bit like, Brad's always, shitting in the toilet. Dad doesn't say anything when he doesn't flush.
That was the part that I was sort of like, I focused on where it sort of caused me to look at like, when I hear like, oh, somebody's in like an open relationship, I picture everybody's like real chill. I don't picture somebody intense who's like, my kid's afraid of like our boyfriend or my boyfriend or whatever their situation is. Where it's like, I was like, oh, I thought everybody's just like, hey man, I'm just here to be in this open relationship with your mom and dad. I didn't expect anybody being like, I'm in this relationship with your mom and dad. I'm not your dad, you little shit. It's like, I don't picture like the guy from Revenge of the Nerds. It seems weird
that, but maybe this is like a more of a like a cuck situation where
you never know.
You have the husband, and then this guy's coming in as like Mr. Dominant Daddy. That could be a weird vibe
afraid
for the
of
house.
him because he's like dirty. Like I'm afraid of people with bad breath. Not afraid like I can't deal with it. But when I'm in a conversation and I get that little puff, there's a surge of fear that goes through me of like, don't barf in front of them if they keep talking closer.
The sleeping situation sounds like a nightmare for who's ever in the middle. I couldn't imagine sleeping
3 people in a bed. We have a queen size bed.
Yeah.
And at the Airbnb, there was a king size bed. And the whole time we saw the king size bed, we were like, oh, this is going to be wonderful.
Yes.
Not so much. No. I want to be able to reach out and like, she needs to hit me. She needs to like pop me in the back sometimes when I'm snoring. Oh, looks like maybe I'm getting a little bit of a vibe.
I love the idea of like a California king.
And I love the idea of being surgically attached to my thigh. So we can never
I'm in the middle. I definitely need I need to be able to roll over if it's too hot.
I don't know the stats with how many people in this country have king size beds. But I'm curious to I imagine like either they're doing like they've got a queen and they put like a twin on connected it to it or something, or they've got like some weird hotel mashup thing. Like I don't know. I don't
know how rich, like it's such a rich person move to me because I have never lived in a house big enough that I would have been able to maneuver a king size bed into the bedroom or like have a king size bed and like an end table. That shit would have been right in the wedged,
Absolutely. And I just think that there's just a lot of, and I think you were both on the right path about, the answer, whoever wrote the letter. It's like she might be projecting some of her own things onto this because she doesn't approve. Let's just get right out of the way. She doesn't approve.
Sound like clearly a woman who would have your back if you were like, orgasms are important to me. Those are just garbage myths that men made up for you.
You're just reading too many magazines.
Yeah, it's like, well, there's, I think people should have the freedom to kind of be who they are, to be who they are, but also knowing that like there are compromises that need to be made in terms of like, do your kids feel comfortable? Like, maybe if this is just a mean lady who's projecting all of her things, but I think she could really open her heart to those children and they could have some fun conversations about whether or not eating ass is on the table for everybody.
Also, I said it last time too, like to write in a letter takes a lot. The average person won't write a letter or send an email or anything like this for advice. So the fact that she's doing it already is a little like, okay, good on you. Okay, I think a little like, what's your deal? What are you? Why are you trying to air all this dirty laundry out in public?
I do have old, like as much as I like to think of myself as very progressive, and I like mostly I come on the right side of most arguments. I think like as far as society, because whatever goes. I do have a twinge in me when I read this that says you are more than welcome to have a polyamorous relationship with as many people as you want, have a weird bed with 3 people in it. That seems like a nightmare. Do what you're going to do. It seems weird to do that when you have school age kids. That seems like a thing you're thrusting on, like you're putting them into that choice that they don't have any say over. You know what I mean?
That's that hard line of like, when you're a parent, you're still an individual. And if you stifle your individual like wants and needs and stuff like that, then it'll come out in other ways. So maybe there's like that knowledge of like, I need to have this relationship situation, whether or not my kids are on board.
Right.
And it's like, there's just, when you're a parent, you automatically assume a bunch of responsibility that I think some people didn't think through and weren't ready for, but it's still something that's like good to be aware of.
You're still a person. And I see like saying that now, I sound like if I rewind 8 years from that, and you could easily hear somebody saying, well, if you're gay, you just have to hide it till your kids get out of high school or whatever. And like, no, that's gross. I would never say that. And that's like a very similar thing to this. These are people expressing whatever they need to express. And I shouldn't have those hangups or whatever. But also like, I just imagine it's hard enough for kids, man. And like, they're at school and they're just going to, can you imagine the shit that like you and your 2 dads and your mom, or maybe not, maybe kids so much cooler than I've ever been, and just like, hey, that's awesome.
It's tough to think about that because like, God, the artillery that like a bully would have to make fun of you back in the day, if that was the case. But nowadays, it's like you might be the cool kid now if you have like the poly parents because I keep thinking like, okay, this has got to be a cool couple. But I mean, like, I remember as a kid when I'd watch like Real Sex on HBO, they're like, ooh, we're going to take a look at a family of swingers or like an open marriage. I'm like, bring it on. And then they show them and I'm like, oh, that's just regular people. I don't want to watch regular people. I want hot people doing this. So it might just be like, this is just the way it is. And we need to just catch up with them. The kids thing, that's the thing too. But I mean, people, if they were doing this podcast 30 years ago, they would be like, the dad, the mom's boyfriend, they're not married. He's living there in the bed. That's
I need more information of like, I would love to just interview everybody in this situation.
I need to dig in for sure.
Come to a better conclusion.
Just tell me like who's playing everybody in this movie, and then I can be like, all right, now I
Bradley
understand.
Cooper's the boyfriend, and the dad is little Rick Moranis.
I mean, we during
or flip it. I like Rick Moranis as the boyfriend coming in with that.
He's got a twin bed pushed up next to him, and like Bradley Cooper like can't stand it and he can't believe it, but he's trying to be nice because the wife is.
Do you remember during the pandemic there was that story where Brad Pitt was dating some woman in an open relationship, and and everybody was just like, imagine you're that dude, and the wife's like,
can we open things up?
So talk to you about this guy. I'm
Brad's coming over. You're gonna love him. You actually, he might be familiar to you.
And we're just like, oh,
you love 12 Monkeys, and you're like,
oh man, I know, right? And then they're out, and he's watching like Fight Club.
You love Fight Club. Babe, you haven't even finished Fight Club.
Brad Pitt comes in cool, like, oh, I think I remember how this one ends. Like,
he's like, eating fries like his character in Ocean's 11 is constantly casually eating.
Casually more than that.
I need to know, really the only thing that really hangs me up here is that The youngest one is afraid of the boyfriend.
That's it.
Because like that one hit. Because like, why? Because if like you should be listening to children in these situations, and like if they're expressing fear of somebody, that is something you need to take.
Here's an interesting one.
Super serious. Okay.
What if the fear that we're reading is that the child is afraid of the boyfriend because they served together in a war in a past life, and the fear is coming from a different source? Like, we gotta get these questions answered.
We need to dig for sure. I think we're all on the same page. What they need here is some conversations, some communication, and maybe like a medium to get into the possible past life of it all.
Oh, that'd be great.
Let's go ahead and jump into our next letter. Dear Abby, when my husband and I got married a year ago, he had 7 rescue dogs, which was a lot for me, but I accepted it. 2 of the small dogs slept in our bed, and I was okay with that too. My husband promised he would never put the dogs before me, and when those dogs died, he would not replace the big ones. At that time, he had only 2 small ones. Well, he has lost a big one and a small one, which left us with 5 dogs. Not only did my husband go to the shelter and adopt 2, he's going to buy another one. Everything he promised was a lie. The 2 from the shelter are allowed to sleep with us, although I explained to him I can't sleep with all these dogs in our bed. Rather than have them sleep somewhere else in the house, he has pretty much told me to pack my things. When he told his dog-loving mother about our problem, she advised him that it was okay for me to sleep in another room so he can sleep with his dogs. I feel like he knew all along what his intentions were. I almost left, and I'm still thinking about it. I've talked to him, but he won't change his mind. I'm not sure why he even married me. Help me, please. Signed, Sleeping Poorly in Tennessee.
Leave.
Go to Colorado.
Here.
Move to Colorado. I got a great couple for you to hook up with.
A big bed with a twin bed.
Yeah. There's another bed. They have like a California.
Why do people get into a situation like this where it's like, immediately I have some rules and some no-nos to the life you already have, and then when they die, they're dead forever, and we never rescue more dogs.
Hold on, we have an actual reenactment of the guy calling his mom, complaining.
Please.
Hi, Mom.
Yes.
Yeah, she's saying she won't sleep in the bed if all the dogs are in there.
Well, honey, you have that mudroom. She can sleep on the floor in there. You know, Pickles needs a queen mattress.
She can sleep in there. Yeah, that's more room for all the dogs.
You're my special boy. If you ever want to come home with all the dogs, I would never give you any problems.
Thank you, Mom. I love you. This guy.
The idea that this guy and his mom are like Jews from Queens, apparently, in your content. Not how I read these people at all.
Oh, yeah.
I love the nanny. That Fran Drescher always just looks on point. Dogs, though. That's my one complaint. The show didn't have enough dogs. My son has 7, and he's looking to get 9 more.
So, like, they're both right and both wrong.
They just need to leave each other alone. Like, they're just clearly not compatible.
He never was gonna say no to the dogs.
Yeah.
It was just like, I'll take care of it later. We'll cross that bridge.
We'll cross that bridge in 10 to 12 years when these dogs
I will get what I want. That's just the guy going, oh yeah, no, I'd never buy that car. I'd never even think about putting a pool in our backyard.
And
in his head, he's like, we're getting that pool.
It's no fun to be the person that's always scolding. Like, don't put yourself in a situation where you're always scolding the person that you're supposed to like be as your partner. And it's like always like, well, already it's not enough for me and I'm not happy, but I'll make these compromises. But later when death comes a calling, then I'll have what I want. Like, ew.
Yeah. We were watching that Kevin Can Go Fuck Himself show. It's real cool. But it's like the sitcom version of it. There's like a sitcom inside of a real drama.
Right.
And it's like, it's all those bad sitcoms where the wives are like, what am I going to do with this guy? This guy's like a sitcom guy, but it's real life. It's not funny. And it's like, you can't have any more dogs. And if you do, your wife's going to leave. And if you're okay with that, then that says everything I need to know about the relationship.
You guys just need to go.
Yeah.
And like, if you want to be the dude with an Iditarod team in your bed, go be that dude. It's fine, but not with this lady. You gotta
find. There are people who would love it. Like there are people out there, I guarantee, looking at the same shelters. They're like, we could have a farm. We could have like 30 rescue dogs. You know, it's like, if you chase your passion, sure, go for it. But if the person you're with is always like, I hate this, change it, I don't like it, then there's no reason to stay in that relationship. And I'm talking to you listening who is just thinking about this. I mean, get out of that relationship. You'll figure it out.
My hope is years from now, she goes, I can't believe I even had to write a letter about this. Like how Stockholm syndrome did I have that I was like, should I leave this relationship? It's like, yes, you should leave this relationship. Like,
if you can't sleep every night because of how you feel in a relationship, that's like a really good signal that you should go somewhere where you can sleep.
What if I was like, have a kid, you'll be fine.
Replace when a dog dies, replace it with a kid. That's it.
If you have a toy, then you'll have a kid, then you have a toy, and then he can have his dog, and you have your kid. It's perfect.
And the kid will love the 2 small ones that haven't died yet.
The kids can sleep in the dog bed. We can put the dogs in the crib. Everything works out just fine. Yeah.
And the mom's clearly like chill and fun. I love that. Like, he asked his mom about like if I was being a problem, and she said, yeah.
Did anyone ask any of the dogs if they're scared of her?
Yeah. Well, 2 of the dogs want to move out, but they can't afford it. I do that also. That to me is another sign where, like, if you're in a relationship and one of them goes, well, my mom said it's fine.
I couldn't even imagine if Sarah one day, if Sarah pulled that on me of like, I called my mom and she thinks that you shouldn't smoke weed, or so I'd be like, what are we doing here?
I wondered what you were gonna pick.
I couldn't imagine what to pick.
Yeah, if it was like, my mom thinks that you shouldn't have as many wrestling figures as you do. Maybe once 2 of them get boiled to death, you can get rid of them and never replace them, and then I'll finally be happy. Like, no, you won't.
And clearly this guy can do no wrong in his mother's eyes. This
absolutely.
He's a hero. He's rescuing dogs. Chris.
It sounds a little Stephen King to me, where the mom's like, oh, my precious baby, I'll send another dog over. That'll fix everything. She definitely is from Long Island.
Yeah. I think, obviously the good advice here is just you guys got to go your separate ways. Yep. Bad advice, you start killing these dogs. If you start offing these dogs, these dogs start having
2 of them have already died.
Yeah.
2 of them ate my special cornmeal and something happened.
I'm going to stand by my answer for most things. Just have a baby and everything will be okay.
It'll work itself out.
Signed, Marty in 1984. Yeah.
I would like to make the big reveal that 5 minutes after you proposed to me, you murmured in my ear, still no kids, right?
Still no kids, right? Yeah.
I said, after the 2 that I have die, I won't try for another.
Yeah. As we did the like high five hug, I pulled her in and I wrote, no kids.
The high five hug that you do when you get engaged.
When you get engaged. Yeah. Big chest bump, knock it out. Yeah.
All right.
Let's go ahead and let's give this one a try. Dear Abby, I've become involved. Actually, no, we're going to skip that one because it's not all dogs, but it's a little similar to what we just did.
We have a 1 dog,
our apartment won't let us have more than 2 dogs.
We can only have 1 dog story in our tiny apartment.
Dear Abby, I met my husband on the job when we were 1 year out of school. We were both 36. We dated for 3 years and were compatible in every way. 10 years later, we have 2 kids, 7 and 5, own a home, and are financially secure. When we dated, we discussed our history, quote unquote, and he told me that he had had 5 prior girlfriends. I had 3 boyfriends in college. Well, I learned a few months ago at his reunion that he completely forgot the part about his competitive frat boy past with hookups and one-night stands. He now estimates that he was with over 50 different girls during college, but says it shouldn't bother me because it was meaningless sex and in the past. He said he told me 5 because they were ones he counted as relationships. Now, I see women on his social media who went to the same school, and I obsess about how they fit into his past. It's driving me crazy, and I feel like just a number now. I know if the situation were reversed, he'd flip out about it. I wish I had never found this out because I see him differently now and no longer want to be close to him. He's a good father and husband, but I'm struggling with how to accept this new information, and I need some guidance. Signed, Wish I Didn't Know.
But if you didn't know, would it solve all these things that you're thinking, miss? I don't know. I love watching this type of thing where it's like, finally, I gotcha. The past is now the thing that I'm worried about. And I'm like, I don't know. I think it's one of those things where your body will tell you how you want to accept this info, and she's struggling with it and she doesn't like it. So maybe it's time for couples therapy.
I think that he totally didn't. I don't like completely think he's in the right, but I also think like his number thing, like I kind of see where he was going with that. I mean, you really can't negate I think he either did it 2 ways. One way he genuinely was like, I didn't even consider those, right. But then there's the idea of just like, I thought you meant just like relationships or whatever, but that could be sneaky too.
Yeah.
I love how kids nowadays say body count as how many people you slept with, which I think is so funny.
Yeah.
How many bodies hit the floor?
How many bodies hit the floor? Well, yeah. I don't know. It's one of those things where.
Tell them about ours.
Oh, Sarah, if we're ever like one time we were in a Uber pool.
Marty, Chicago comedian for years, always in hot demand. Like there's like
trust me, nobody will rack up a body count faster than a local comedian.
We were in a Uber pool and someone got in who I had hooked up with before.
Immediate vibes, like immediate weird, like, hey Marty.
Sure. And
and whoever you are.
She got out of the car first, and Sarah just looks at me and she goes, "Did you spend time with her?" And I said, "Yes, I did."
That's our code now. I can be like, "Did you ever spend time with so and so?" I just like to know, but it doesn't make me mad because I know that if you hadn't had all the experiences that you had,
that I wouldn't be as good at sex as I am.
Yeah, exactly what I was going to say. Let's just keep that on the record. I was going to say, you wouldn't be like the person with all the experiences you've had have shaped you into this guy that I want to spend the rest of my life with.
I just think with them, this is something they should have asked each other before they had kids.
Get clarification. If it's an issue, if you're somebody for whom a high body count, if we're going to just use that term, is an issue, then you have to get clarification, nail down a real number, and make a decision if that's going to be a problem with you.
And the other person has to be honest.
100%. What if they did have this conversation
and he was just full of shit about it?
And he said 5 or whatever, and she goes, "Okay, I can live with that." Then we get married. Then they go to
now he's bad. Now it's not good. Yeah.
And everyone goes, "Oh, my boy Chris. Oh, Chris was a straight up murderer during college." And then it's like if she got blindsided.
Well, then you were dishonest, and that is almost a bigger issue than the other thing.
That's what I feel she's sort of upset about, because it's like, we have this life, we have this understanding. I always thought, but also there's a little bit of that tinge of like and I said this number and he said this number and then this, like there's a little bit of tinge of like, I feel that she wanted to like catch him, and that's not a nice energy.
I got a little of like, you might get out of this one on a technicality, but she will get you on one of these. Oh, you said you never did cocaine. Your friends there said you did cocaine.
Yeah, exactly.
There's gonna be a time where she's gonna get him, where maybe, and I think this guy's probably a good liar, because anybody who could sleep with a lot of women is probably a little bit loose.
Yeah, a little manipulative.
And we could smell our own. And but I think like he's probably pretty slick talking, and he's probably like, no. I have a feeling she's more boring than him. I bet he was probably like a wild man.
I get the vibe that she said 3, and then he said, "Oh shit, she is not going to be happy if I say 50."
Yes.
Let me scale this number.
I also want to give her the special, very special advice that if the internet is not fun for you, or an app is not fun for you, and you find yourself hunting up women and hating them, you gotta get a hobby. You gotta do something different. Like,
because that's also,
you can enjoy your life, but by choosing to go online and obsess over other women that may or may not have ever slept with your handsome husband, like to go be nice to him. That's such a better activity than to be like, and then probably her vagina was like this. It's like, shut up, who cares?
It might be ruining her brain. Like every time she just sees a woman, she's like, I wonder if my husband fucked her, and it was probably more fun than with me. And it's like ruining her brain.
Being a woman and getting that vibe from another woman where you're like, I've literally done nothing to you ever but hope that you would be nice to me, and they're just mean. It's like, okay, you can go live your life that way, but you're probably going to feel very sick because of all the guilt.
Yeah,
nobody
and the
likes
tension
to be mean
and the
every
stress.
day.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like a good way to get through it. And also, like, I will throw this out there. There are some people that like that shit. That and you don't want to think they do. You want to think, oh, you have to actually be miserable because you're a nice person, and you don't want to think other people like derive pleasure from not being nice. But there are people that like they would rather. My mother used to listen to Dr. Laura. Hated everything about her. I
used to do that when I was
disagreed with every position she ever had, would yell at the radio, but listened every single goddamn day because that's how she got her enjoyment. Maybe she likes a little bit of this going on Facebook, looking at her page. Oh, I wonder what she was like. I'm going to do this detective shit. She might enjoy that a little bit.
I just think that if that's your base level of enjoyment, just like, try making your own cotton candy. It's so much better. You know, try getting into needlepoint. It's like the stuff that requires no hard work and all just like random opinions. It's like, that's not a skill. And if you spend most of your time doing that, you're not going to have a lot to say at parties, and you're not going to be banging 50 guys in college.
That's true. What did she say about the kids? She said something that felt a little passive aggressive about like,
we have 2 kids. Well, this is also a thing that makes me not like say this is like a wonderfully happy marriage. 10 years later, we have 2 kids, own a home, and are financially secure.
We have very little conversation.
They never said anything about being happy.
About
being loving. Like him a whole bunch, but I'm the one who has to enforce the rules. That's always another pitfall where you're like, I know you have to be responsible, and I bet he's a fun dad.
So here's what I think. Hearing all that, I think she's kind of like a nerd. I think she's pretty basic, and I think she's kind of a nerd. And I don't think she's got a whole lot going on.
But a nerd who doesn't follow her pursuits.
Yes. So she spends a lot of time on Facebook being like, okay, you're friends with them. You went to that college. I wonder if you're one of those. Like, you know, when he goes out of town for work, I think he goes out of town for work. This guy's a real hot shot, Chris. You and I know this guy's
absolutely.
He's a mover and a shaker.
Conventions to go to.
He's got a lot.
And they make enough money to be. Anyone who says financially secure is so impressive to me because I'm like, that money's very fluid. It can all change in an instant. So good luck. I hope it sticks around.
They have fights where he tells her like deals are made in bars and on golf courses. It's not just in the boardroom. You gotta, you know, and if you like all this nice stuff, I gotta go do these things, you know. I'm gonna get on the computer. I'm gonna find out.
Like join some groups. There's like great geology groups, and you can learn about, you know,
you know what he should do? He should really call it. He should go, okay, fine. You know what? You're right. I lied. I'm gonna give you 1 hall pass because she wouldn't do it. And if she did, it might be better off for her. Go out there.
Million years, this lady is.
She goes, oh, what am I gonna do having sex? I don't even like it. That's
yuck. I barely do it with you. We've only done it 3 times.
You know that's where they pee out of, right?
We'll try this one. This is a little different. This is from a teenage writer. Dear Abby, I have a friend who is really popular. We have been best friends since 3rd grade, but when we started 9th grade, she really changed. She started hanging out with the cool kids and acting weird. She told me that because I was her friend, I had the automatic right to hang out with them. I don't like to hang out with large groups of people because I'm afraid of big groups, but I still want to be friends with her. When I told her I'd think about it, she suddenly turned cold. I'm confused. I don't know what I should do. She was there for me since 3rd grade, and I was there for her, and now she seems to be fading really fast. 6 years of friendship just forgotten. Please give me some advice. Signed, Friend Drama in Michigan.
This is that I'm like, did I write this? This sounds like little Sarah.
I'm gonna let Sarah just take this.
You got a little red in the face, quite honestly.
Yeah, I heard it.
Friend, I get it because I spend a lot of time and I'm working on this. Getting hung up when somebody else makes a decision and then you haven't really changed anything, but they want to reserve the right to change and then they want you to be okay with it. And like, I just remember this happening so much and I moved a lot. So I was always like starting over. So any friend that I got was like
precious.
Yes, finally I got one. And then it's just like when you're a kid and when you're a teenager and you want to impart this to children and teens, it's like you haven't had a lot of time on the planet to know the rhythms of things and to know that people drift in and out of your life forever. And it's easier now because of the internet, but you're not going to have a friend that is there for you every single day for your entire life because there's no control over that. And it's like one of those things where I always advise just like, keep the door open. If it's somebody, they're going their own way, be nice to them, but also don't hang your identity on that friendship that may be changing because, you know, if you're quieter, you are going to find some quieter friends. You don't have to go to those parties. No one will remember what parties you did or didn't go to in 2 years, 5 years, whatever. But yeah, I just relate to that so hard where you're like, everything's changing and I did nothing. And it's just, that's how it goes.
And the difference between 6th grade and 9th grade is such a huge difference in who you are as people. And there's no way to know, like, and maybe you didn't change. Maybe you're the same person from 6th grade to 9th grade, but that's rare. Most people are now, you saw a boob and now your whole world has changed. You know what I mean? Shit is different. So yeah, it's a very weird, like, it's a tough position to be in because nobody's wrong. It's very easy to have a side and be like,
I know.
It's just life, man.
It's just life.
I really wish like there was like, I mean, I would listen to like Loveline when I was a kid. And that helped a lot of being like, when they'd be like, oh, don't worry about it. They don't date someone else. Like hearing stuff like that was important to hear.
What do you always say that you wish you told girls back in the day?
Oh, none of this matters. Why aren't we just going to hook up right now? None of this matters. even if you tell a kid that, they can't understand that.
Well, no, because everything
matters so much.
Super matters. Everything happening to them is the most important thing in the world because they've had 10 things. They've been on the planet for 20 years.
Here's what's going to happen. I think the girl who wrote this letter is real cool
and a very old soul.
And she'll see a cool like independent film, and it'll go, that's me and Ashley or whoever the girl is. She went on to be like. This is the origin story of a cool person.
Yeah.
This is, we're on the way to a cool person because they're self-aware enough to go, I don't know if I want to hang out with them. And then her friend, who really revealed herself to be a little bad, went, you don't want to hang out with the cool kids? Like, I'm giving you this in.
I gave you a golden ticket and you go to the factory.
I also want to throw this in here because I don't want to give the friend unnecessary and undeserved shit. Mm-hmm. It is entirely possible that the cool kids are just some kids, right? Because she says she hang out with the cool kids and started acting weird. They might just be new, like you've gone to a new school. Mm-hmm. So now these are kids that you just didn't know because you've gone from elementary or junior high to high school. It is quite easy that what she thinks are cool kids, trust as someone who was not the cool kids. Like,
I think they're all improvisers. I think they're really loud and they just do like terrible bits.
Yeah, they're just the band kids who are constantly yelling some dumb bit that nobody knows, but they're louder than everybody else. And also, I had a friend once who reminded me I remember them saying that you talk about the popular kids in school. No one liked them. They weren't actually popular. Their dad had a car dealership or something. They were rich but influential, but they weren't popular.
That like the popular kids because I went to, again, a lot of schools and I observed a lot of popular groups. Sure. And a lot of times it was kids that really were clean, good looking, and didn't have a lot going on to differentiate themselves too much. And like, I remember seeing kids that I was just like, oh my God, it is a struggle for you to get here every day. And you're so smart and you have it all together, but you're never going to be, and it takes a toll on the kids then. But again, like you were saying, it makes you tougher when you sort of see things from this other perspective. Because a lot of times these popular kids don't have that perspective. Then when it kind of fizzles away and they didn't have to do anything to get it or to lose it, it breaks their brains. And it's like, it's hard to say, like, it's better to be like a little weird observer for a while, but I think it might be. And everyone's felt like that. Like nobody's felt like the cool kid all the way through. We've all felt like outsiders. We've all felt everything.
Yeah, no, I 100% think like that is something that like Facebook will show you when you see somebody from your hometown who you knew to be the popular kid and you see them as an adult and it's like, oh no, that progression. Which
MLM are you doing now?
That's exactly, that shit does not work out. You are still like, or like you're still posting like, and not in a fun way, but you're posting like high school memories on your Facebook page in a very sad, specific way of like, remember when, not like, oh, hey, I found this cool picture of us. Remember this party? That was great. Back. Yeah. It's like the idea. Like, did you guys go to your high school reunions?
Oh yeah.
You did.
No, I didn't.
Hard pass. Oh, absolutely not. I got that shit in the mail or like email or whatever it was at the time. And I was like, no, I kept in touch with like the 8 people I gave a shit about. And I'm not going to travel to go see you people for
sure. They scheduled ours on Thanksgiving in the hometown. And I was like, my parents
they didn't want you. I'm sorry, not you specifically, but they didn't. That's not, you know who planned
that? The same 4 people.
You know who planned that? All the people who live in your hometown.
Yeah. I was like, I can't make it. I'm going to go see my family.
Yeah. 100%.
I just think about a kid writing to Dear Abby about a situation like this.
I thought about writing to her
Sarah move. That's a deep kid who feels a lot. Or somebody who would call an advice radio
somebody
show.
Who would write to Casey Kasem and request an autographed 8x10 and then receive it.
Yeah, which one of you two are we talking about? Okay. I was like you could have been Marty, but I just wanted to check.
He said to Sarah, you're number 1, Casey Kasem. And it was like the most valuable paper I ever owned until Anna Gasteyer sent me one that I also wrote to her and asked for.
That's like, I also kind of respect having the guts to do that. Like if I thought you could have done that, I certainly would have.
That's my thing. I would have. Like how kids could ask celebrities out to prom now and stuff. Like,
my mom really tried to get me to do that. My mom really wanted me to take Jason Mraz to prom, but it was only because she didn't like my boyfriend.
I would have asked China to prom with me, and I would have been the coolest.
Oh my god!
Sure. She just she walks in with you on her shoulder like a parent.
God, it would have been amazing.
Wow,
absolutely.
Papa territory, huh?
We can go into a new letter here. Which one do we want to do? We've got time for maybe one or two more. Let's go ahead and try.
I really want my podcast partner to propose to me. We've been doing a wrestling podcast for 6 years.
Stop.
Dear Abby, I've become involved with a woman I've been friends with for some years. We became close over the course of 2020 and more recently have soft launched dating, although she doesn't yet feel comfortable labeling it. Not long ago, she expressed great disappointment because of my messiness when I last visited her. I had left an empty coffee cup on her car floor, my shoes in the middle of the kitchen, and knocked some pillows off of the couch, among other things.
That's it. That's all he did.
That's all he did.
I know her criticisms are fair, but they are also over the top. I believe this is a trait that I can fix, and I told her I would, but now she wants some space. She said she isn't sure she can become romantic with a messy person who doesn't respect her space. While I understand where she's coming from, I am afraid I won't have a chance to prove myself. We spoke a little after the incident, but I have tried to honor her request. Do you have any advice about how to approach the situation? It would be sad if we parted ways after our first real challenge. I think it may be important to note that, in the past, she has dated men who weren't respectful to her at all. Signed, Mr. Messy in Pennsylvania. So, can we agree that this woman does not want to date this man?
Correct.
And picked the very first thing that she could use as an excuse to get out of said
Oh, no.
dating.
See, I think
it's bigger than the mess.
So messier. First of all, we're not talking about smells at all. I think
we're not talking about mouth hygiene.
I
think his mouth hygiene was off the charts bad.
So she is just like, yo, first of all,
she's nice. She sounds nice.
What is this soft launch on
that
our
phrasing? Wow, soft launching our dating.
Let me bring you this from a lady's perspective.
Okay.
You guys can be real grabby when it comes to I want to be like dating, and I've made many negotiations like this where a guy's like, well, either we date or we're not friends, we're never speaking again. And that'll really get you to be like, well, we can try, but let's not X, Y, Z because I haven't agreed to this. I don't know what's happening. And to me, this just sounds like a lady who realized if she's stuck with him, she'd be settling and found like a bunch of things. Probably, honestly, it sounds like she got annoyed with him over the course of
a weekend or
like,
whatever.
So again, we're in 2020. So so he comes over, which is already, she's probably like, oh, he doesn't care. He's like, let's fucking do this. So she's like, all right, fine.
What's he wearing?
Come over. He's a mess. He's just a mess.
Here's the thing. I think he's wearing basketball shorts and a button-down shirt.
Like, we're going to be comfortable.
No sense.
We're just going to hang out.
Sweat,
Yeah. He might have brought laundry over to do. She has a machine. Wait, you have a machine? I'm going to bring
Hold on. Yeah.
Also,
I was out of quarters. This is great.
On the floor of the car, I'm wondering, is this a Starbucks cup? Is this a mug from her house? Like, there's a couple.
It's a mug. It's a mug
for
sure.
Yeah.
And it had coffee in it, and she spilled it when she pulled it over the dash or over.
Yeah, she went to pick it up angrily and coffee in it.
This guy. Now I understand the soft launch. He's a programmer. He's
great
not great,
at talking,
great,
though.
but he's not great with people. But on the computer, he's great. So we're talking some hygiene stuff. Probably just, it got to a point where she was probably like everything he did. She's like in her head being like, look at how you just put your hand in the bag and pull out all the Doritos.
And then eat them
get a bowl. I have a bowl. Put him in a bowl. Could she polish this guy up and clean him up and make him a great guy?
Is he worth it?
No.
Is he worth the effort?
Like
she's not getting a child. She's getting or an employee. She's getting a partner.
She's over it.
And she doesn't need to do that work.
There's a million times where the guy goes, I think I can change. And I already told her that I will. Yeah. It's like, you don't have a plan.
No, you've done nothing. Yeah.
I showed Sarah Stripes for the first time this weekend. And the scene where Bill Murray's girlfriend's leaving and she's like, I need somebody who will grow with me. And he goes, I have the most potential for growth of anybody you know. Like, I think sometimes the dirty boys, and I mean, I dated people who have I left a relationship being better off for dating them. So that can definitely happen.
Absolutely.
But I think like in a situation like this, And I think Sarah's right, like where it's like sometimes people make more out of a couple dates, you know, where it's like in my head, I could think back and go, what happened with her? Like I went on a couple dates with this woman and she just like was not interested. It's just like, that's just how it goes.
That's
sometimes.
The point of dating.
I know
find out if you're interested.
We're the stars of all our shows and all our stories and stuff. Right. But it's like sometimes you're just a little bit player who had a little 3-episode arc on the Sarah show and you went on a couple dates and you're just gone and it's like no hard feelings, but it's like,
well, and you don't want to be with somebody who isn't thrilled about being with you immediately. Like my mom told me that a long time ago where she goes, as a parent, I don't want to see you dating someone that you're just kind of being nice to. She's like, because that's not nice to yourself. And I see that from over there. And I'm like, yeah. And sometimes it's a better lesson to just be like, well, let's cut our losses and not do this. But also it sounds like she's not being super clear with him.
Sure.
Oh, yeah. I do get this guy seems to me like he has built up a relationship in his head that doesn't super exist.
This has happened to me, if you can believe this. This has happened to me a lot in my life where I was like, I'm being friends with this guy. Doesn't seem like he has a lot of friends. And then it escalates very quick, especially in high school in the younger years.
Sure.
Where you're like, oh no, you really think of me as like an ex-girlfriend. And I went to your house 3 times. We, hung out a little bit, but we never even like sat on the same couch.
It's also too, again, these might be 2 like lonely people who, when it was texting and phone calling, it was like, great.
It's 2020. You're back. You're vaccinated. Like you're quarantined.
I'm gonna meet you for the first time. And I think that,
and also, if I met you for the first time and you left your shoes in the middle of my kitchen,
do you think he just walked
we
right
gotta
in?
Talk, man. What is that,
Chris? Did he do the like? Did he do the like? I got a shit real bad, but I got mud on my shoes.
Matt riddled those flip flops in the middle of the kitchen,
and then ran to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Talk to you in a minute. Hold on a second.
I didn't mention the state of the bathroom afterward because it's a bathroom. It doesn't matter. We all get shit on the back of the toilet. It's like we don't, or if we do, we clean it up.
He probably destroyed her bathroom, and like we just were talking to a friend who somebody stayed at her house, and this dude just like broke the toilet. Messed up on the stove, turned it from
Fahrenheit to Celsius,
and she couldn't figure out how to like stuff where you're like, you gotta be.
How did you even do this by accident?
Yes,
this is
like you threw up in a bathroom in the basement, like didn't clean it right.
Took the humidifier out to empty it, and then just left it and said, "Oh, I hurt my wrist.
I hurt my wrist. I don't know how to do it." So just fun stuff like that, to where you're just like, all right, some people are just like tornadoes. They just go through life, whether it's like I've dated people like that who just came into my life, and then when they left, I was like, whoa, that was a wild.
That was a lot. Yeah.
And then I'm sure to some people, I've been that guy who's rolled into town, and it's just like I remember dating people in the past, and they're just like, you go out every night. Like this is when I was like hitting comedy super duper hard. Like you go out every night and drink every night. It's just like, I don't want to live like that.
Remember when we were first dating and you turned to me, we were running to get in the back of an Uber at Clark and Belmont, and you went, one thing you just got to know about me is sometimes I just party. I was like,
that's fair. You got to tell your partner that though.
I didn't want to act like I was very buttoned up, and then one day just be like,
find out,
I'm going
50
to be
bodies hit the floor.
Gone. Yes, I have to go someplace where there'll be numerous members of my body count. Yeah. You don't want to like have that conversation
for sure. This guy. I don't feel bad for this guy like he's been wronged, but I feel bad for this guy in that I just think he's a little sad. I think
he's also at the risk of being like nasty online.
Oh yeah, no, this can turn incel very quickly. That precipice is sad for sure.
Yeah. As a nice lady who's accidentally broken a few hearts, like it really sucks to see somebody succumb to that bitterness. And honestly, like the best thing you could do is just be nice and act like it doesn't affect you, but deal with your feelings in private. And then that girl will look over later and be like, wow, that was a really nice guy. And maybe she'll give him another shot if he does get it together later. Maybe he never wants to, but it's always my urging is like, when you have some heartbreak, like, lean into it, mope around, feel bad, but don't be mean, especially don't be mean to strangers. Be like, all women now. It's like, that causes a lot of problems.
Stay away from Reddit. I feel like if you're heartbroken, get away from the internet for a while. Do not get
outside.
Don't listen to Patrice O'Neill advice shows. My old roommate just had a breakup, and I hear in his room with Patrice being like, man, fuck that bitch. I'm
no.
You're not ready for this.
Yeah. No, that is when you're in a healthy relationship and you can have a little like fun with the edges of like anger. You don't want to be in that deep.
Then you can listen to Tom Likas.
No, also, you can just never listen to Tom Likas. That shit was horrific. I used to have to drive. I had like an hour and a half commute to work, and this was Opie and Anthony on like before they got kicked out of New York radio. And then it was followed by Tom Likas, and I would hear like 15-20 minutes of Likas because like the radio didn't have a lot of options is what it was. And I don't even know
what Sarah would think if I played her some Tom Likas.
It's probably just boys
because I remember
it's so much worse than that. It's just terrible.
Insane.
It's
a guy.
Like
it's
misogyny. It's like WSMSTY. It's just
he came
misogyny
to Chicago.
Radio.
He came to Chicago, and Steve Dowell, who's like a Chicago radio legend and a very cool guy, was like, I gotta be honest, I can't sign off on this show coming up after me. They syndicated it from LA. Like, give it a listen. It's wild. And I was like, what is this show? It's it's a bad man giving bad advice to bad
it's horrific. Yeah.
I'll destroy it.
Adomian does a great
yes, he
impression.
Does.
It's very funny.
He's so funny.
It's insane.
All right, we're gonna wrap up one more letter here, and then we'll wrap this up. Where did it go? Dear Abby, I'm a very fortunate 60-year-old male. I have a wonderful life, great kids. I'm a new grandfather, and I'm recently retired. I think I am happy and overall positive person. Most people would be thrilled to have my life. However, I can't seem to stop crying. I tear up at the end of every sad or romantic movie. I choke up when I'm around my loved ones, and it is only getting worse. I wonder if it's because of pain I experienced in my past, parentheses, death of loved ones, divorce, etc., or fear about the future. Do you have any insight based on your experience? Signed, Tearing Up in Ohio. So part of me, and it's hard to tell someone else why they're crying. Maybe you're just fucking like, you seem to be crying at the things you should cry about. Like the things he lists is like, I tear up at sad or romantic movies. Totally fine. I get emotional when I'm around my loved ones. That seems fucking reasonable too. Like maybe you're just becoming emotional in your older age.
I mean, that's very normal. Men hit this age where, especially if they've been go, and they've done everything and they started the family and then they got everyone off scot-free. There's this room for emotion in the later years. And I wonder too, like if that guy had a dad like you, he would know that it's okay to experience these feelings. But it sounds like there's that fight in him of like, I shouldn't. And it's like, absolutely. Once you let yourself and say it's okay, you'll cry less because you'll cry when it's important. Like I went through a phase where I was like, I'm not controlling this well. I'm crying too much. And what is that? And it was basically like, I read an article that was like, you can be sensitive, but also like know when to toughen up and know when to think. Like I started doing a thing where I go, caution, this next memory might really make you upset. Do you wish to proceed? And it was like a weird little fun, like glitch in my brain to be like, oh no, I don't have to like always feel so sad. But when I do, like, let's feel it.
Let's get into it. Yeah.
I think he should go see a therapist and talk about it a little bit.
Sure.
I think he might think he's got it all figured out, but he doesn't. Absolutely. You know, like I think he said, I'm great with everything.
I don't know about this past pain I've had.
That is where I get a little concerned for him because he lists things that are like the stereotypical things you should consider. Like they were goals that you checked off. I have a family.
Financially stable.
Exactly. Yeah. He did that. But he's like, what about these things? Maybe it's pain in my past. Maybe it's pain in your past.
It's the scene in Wet Hot American Summer where the can goes, it's not about the whatever to the guy cooking. It's like, it's not about the show. It's not about the movie. It's not about the song. It's not about.
It's tapping into something that you need to listen to. Because if you can't stop,
then there's
something in your life.
Meditate. Get the Calm app and get a little soundscape going and feel how uncomfortable it is to be alone with your thoughts at first and then embrace it.
We don't know what kind of crier this guy is too. It might be like they might be in Olive Garden having a nice family meal and he's going like
hard, loud sobbing.
Because they were singing happy birthday to the next table. And he's having
you want to get that under control a little bit.
You don't want to go out in public as like, you know, like a Will Ferrell SNL character, like the crier, and they're just like out. He's like, it's like, oh come on, man, we're just watching like Weekend at Bernie's. What are you doing?
Yeah, I do feel it's that I can't seem to stop crying. But then the things he literally says, I choke up when I'm around my loved ones. Yeah, that sounds nice, man. Like if you can't stop crying, like if someone brings you a cheeseburger and you're sobbing, that is weird. But to me, maybe he is just like, he's me slightly hungover on an airplane, which is you will never see someone cry faster than a mild hangover and elevation and like
a sad movie,
a barely sad movie,
just like a normal movie.
Yeah, just made in Manhattan or some shit, and I'm like, she really does have it all. Like just something simple, for sure.
There are people who are very uncomfortable with people crying, especially like a grown man crying. Yeah. There's a lot of people who are like, I don't know about that.
Not me. I'm like, tell me all of it. Let's hear it out, baby.
We had to go to a memorial for a friend recently, and Sarah Sarah was very taken aback by how when men hug each other, they just smack the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
She was like, here, smack my back.
Around the room, surround sound.
Always just, yeah.
Sometimes it's a fist. Sometimes you got to get the like,
Oh my God.
Sounds like, it's like a little like the wrestler Vulture just doing those big forearms down on guys' chests.
Hey guys, we're all mourning. We can be a little vulnerable.
There's
a little soft.
And so maybe they're just like, and they could be getting a little burnt out on him always. See, I feel with these letters, it's like the people who they're writing about probably aren't as bad, and the people and they aren't as good.
Sure.
You know.
Absolutely.
So this might not just be like, God, every once in a while I just think of something and I get a little teary-eyed. This could be like, hey, you need to go see a doctor, and maybe you're the guy in the TV where they're like, do you just start crying all of a sudden? It's like, maybe there's some new...
There's a medication you're taking.
Or therapy or...
Years ago, and I told you about this, I went to a doctor when I finally had health insurance, America, and I was like, and I have this, and I have this, and I like get these stomach aches, and I get these rashes on my skin, and I this and that, and I was like, here are all my health concerns, like what's going on, and she was just like so kindly, like, she had a term for it, I don't remember what it was, but she's like, you're just like really sensitive, and you feel a lot, and you worry a lot, and that's okay, but like, know that a lot of this is like, where are you putting your mental rocks in which buckets? And it's like, if you really focus on the stuff that freaks you out or the stuff that you don't like, you push it all aside, you'll be crying at Walgreens and being like, oh no, I never dealt with like 10 years ago when this thing happened or whatever. Right. So it is like, we always recommend therapy and meditation and just look at your life like a curious observer and see what you can make some little tweaks on.
Or he should just take like a Sunday that he's got nothing going on and just watch the saddest, watch Boys in the Hood, watch the
just put on Coco. Coco hit me hard. Dig in and get it out.
Coco will get you. Remember when you came home and I just watched Coco and I was like, it was really good.
In the theater I watched that. I watched Coco and the Mr. Rogers documentary.
The Florida Project. Remember the theater when the Florida Project ended? It was just like
the Mr. Rogers documentary in the theater, the whole theater was crying. Just a chorus of like snot bubbles.
For that movie, I was told bring a hanky for me and Sarah.
We all went into the bathroom afterward, and I could hear all these other women just in stalls like
100%.
So maybe have like a purge day where you just cry it out or whatever.
This guy's having the forever purge.
Great. We're doing marketing.
And we're out, guys. This has been a great episode. Where can the kids find you on the internet, folks?
At Marty Sarah Pod on Twitter. You can find us on all your podcast apps or streaming at protectthe.biz. Every Friday we have a new fun pro wrestling hour or so of chat.
Awesome. Check that out. I am Chris Cubis on all social, or at Chris Cubis on all social media. If you like the show, get us those little 5-star reviews. They really help. If you are in Austin, Texas, and you need a meal, red beans and rice, redbeansaustin.com. Sign up goes up on Tuesday. Free meals go out on Sunday. And we'll be back next week with more bad advice.